This is Liam Hendricks, and you're watching Crosstown Crosstalk on the Barroom Network.
Some may find the following disturbing. Discretion is advised.
Every summer in Chicago, the sunshine spotlights the city's spectacular skyline. Its luxurious lakeshore, marvelous monuments, and the over 200 neighborhoods in the city. And it also brings to light two of the greatest sports franchises in the world. On the north side, it's the Cubs. On the south side, it's the White Sox. This is Crosstown Crosstalk.
Baseball show, but I mean, with everything going on with NBA playoffs and how the NHL playoffs are going, Battle of Alberta, Battle of Florida, the MLB season is on fire. Both Chicago teams kind of stink, but we'll get into that in a little bit. I wanted to bring on somebody who could talk about all of that. It is somebody who has just been one of the more prominent figures on the Barroom Network for a while now. Somebody that is a Chicago radio legend. Everybody in town knows this guy. If you like sports, you know about Mike North. Mike North, welcome to the show.
It's great to finally get on with you, Vinny. You know, I mean, look at you. You probably shaved twice today already. You know what I mean?
3 times.
You got a 2 o'clock shadow, a 4 o'clock shadow, and then the 5 o'clock shadow. It's great to talk to you. It's great to be on the court, the bar room. I love the bar room. Just talked to Aldo Gandia earlier. God bless him. So you know what? Talking all sorts of stuff that's going on in the world of sports, keeping everybody busy, my friend.
Absolutely. I shaved at 7 a.m., 11 a.m. I keep the mustache, though, to keep things interesting.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Before you get into the whole sports thing, I want to talk about you for a little bit. I'm a big Mike North fan. I love the radio. I listen to The Score. I listen to ESPN 1000 every single day. I had your boy Carmen DeFalco on the radio on my way to my dentist appointment earlier. Him and Yurko were chopping it up about how bad the White Sox offense is, but we'll get to that in a little bit. The first thing that I learned about you a while back when I first started listening to the Mike North Advantage here on the Barroom Network, of course, you owned a hot dog shop early on.
Yeah.
I love eating some hot dogs. Oh, 3 of them. Can you get into that a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, I was working for the Park District, and my wife was working at a local company, and she was like the head caterer, and she ran the cafeteria. She ran for Sears on Holman Avenue. My wife, back when she was in her 20s, she was running like 100-person type of deal. Sears on Holman Avenue used to be like this big, tall, 5-6-story thing where the warehouse was and everything else. Then she went to work for Rust-Oleum, and I was still working for the Park District, and I was just landscaping, picking paper, tossing garbage. I was a high school dropout, and I came home one day, and I told my wife, "Man, it doesn't look good. Things ain't breaking. Things ain't breaking. I mean, I'm happy I got a job with the city and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, but is this what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life?" And my wife, we had both worked. I had worked at Jack in the Box, for God's sake. It used to be, they had Jack in the Box here back when I was a kid over on Ridge and Clark. I worked at delis. I was a paper boy. I did all sorts of jobs. And my wife worked on Sheridan Road when she was like 18, 19 years old, right there where they had Huey's and 3-4 music venues, bars with music venues, at a place called Happy Harry's. And my wife was a very popular lady, especially at 2 o'clock in the morning with the Loyola students when the venues would close, because all these bars were about a block away from Loyola, where she went. And she said, "Why don't we open up a hot dog stand?" I said, "I don't know that much about that." And she says, "Well, I think we can do it," like she always says. And we opened up we bought it at a bankruptcy sale. And then we sold it like 3 years later for we bought it literally for $5,000 back in 1976. And we sold it for 3 years later for $35,000. Then we bought another one. We were going to do the same thing. We did the same thing. We bought a stand for 16. We sold it for 45,000. We were going to do that for the rest of our lives. I said, this is okay. But then we found this nugget and we couldn't sell it. It just was a moneymaker for us. I had a poker machine in there on top of everything else. We were by Schurz High School, factories all up and down the street. It was we converted a car wash. We did that for 8 years. And, but I had a hot dog stand at Northwestern at Dyke, which was then Dyke Stadium back in the late 60s, early 70s. So I worked there. I also worked at Soldier Field. I was a vendor. So I was involved with hot dogs, since I was 16, 17 years old, Vinny.
Wow, that's insane. I didn't know the extent of that story. I mean, I knew you had a stand. The fact that you were doing all that, that's insane. I love me a good Chicago style. There's nothing better.
You know what I used to do when I sold the joints? I'd get some guys like you. When I knew this, when people wanted to come by to buy my joints, I'd get some guys like you. And we had a buddy named Mushroom. He weighed about 300 pounds. You know, these people would come in, not that they didn't monitor outside. We had a good enough business, but they'd come in like at 2:00 in the afternoon. I'd have like 7, 8 people sitting in the joint.
That's awesome.
And that would just help sell the joint. You can't sell a hot dog stand with no people.
Yeah.
You can't sell anything with no people in the retail business. So unless of course you own a major league franchise of some type.
Yeah. And so when you're running all these hot dog franchises, did you know in that moment that sports and covering sports and potentially radio, I know the radio wasn't what it is today, but did you know that that's the path you wanted to eventually go down? Or did that just kind of come out of nowhere?
No, that came out of nowhere. I mean, I knew my sports. I mean, from the time I was 9, 10 years old, I mean, I would debate sports on the street corners, Glenwood, Thorndale, and, you know, my buddies, we'd go back and forth. Who's better, Santo or Melton? Who's better, Richie Allen or Ernie Banks? You know, and all this nonsense. And, you know, I remember a guy telling me, and sometimes we'd get in arguments with other people that, you know, other guys from the neighborhood or debates. I remember a guy telling me, you think you know everything. I go, what's the problem with that now? What do you think is the problem with that? I said, I do. Call me on something. Call me on something you think I might be wrong at. If it's an opinion, you're entitled to it. But if you want to debate fact, you know, and that was in the heart of the Bill Melton, Ron Santo type of situation. And just stuff like that. So arguing sports, debating sports has always been in my blood. But I was mopping the floor one night, literally, at my hot dog stand. And I'm listening to Chet Kopic. And he's burying, I'd like to say it was Tim McCarver at the time about something. And then like 2 weeks later, I'm mopping the floor again. And I couldn't mop a floor. Oh. That's one of the reasons Aldo wanted me with Barroom. Hell of a mopping. Guy can mop a floor. And he had McCarver on or somebody, and he was kissing his butt. And I said to B, that's the problem. Because me and BB worked the stand together 16 hours a day. I go, that's the problem. She goes, what's the problem? I said, the problem is you don't kiss a guy's ass after you buried the guy. I said, that's why sports talk in Chicago at that time I thought was vanilla. And so that's why I decided to broker time. Do what we all do now is podcasting. But at that time, you had to broker radio time. It was like $200 for the hour. And then they threw in a producer, but I hired one who I ended up, Tom Couch. Tommy, I hope you're out there listening. Love you, brother. Put together a first-rate show for me. Then I had it listed in the Sun Times. And I was on 1240 WSBC. I was wedged in between the Father Justin Rosary Hour in Buffalo. Yeah, I had a handicap show right after a priest show. You know what I mean? And then Danny Cahill, a friend of mine in the Sun Times, listed it for me. And I started getting the following. And then the rest is history. What can I tell you?
That's awesome. That's really cool. I mean, it was so
right into it.
That's awesome. And so when you're doing all this, you're getting into sports, you're wearing the Bears shirt. I hear you talk football. We'll get into that, I'm sure, a little later too. But was baseball your first love?
Danny Lee, as far as playing, it was just whatever season.
Yeah,
and I'm
sure.
not bragging. I'm not going to pat myself on the back, but I could play football, baseball, and basketball. Equally all good. I sucked at hockey. I didn't even play hockey. I played floor hockey. I was okay. Okay. I was a lousy golfer. I'm not here to toot my own horn, but the other three. But the thing I was good at was I loved all the sports and reading about them. And I mean, I read legendary guys, you know, and I read Terry Boers. I read Rick Talley. All the great ones, Warren Brown, Joe Musho, Bill Jouse. I mean, I basically soaked all the stuff in. The only thing I loved in my life, well, I love TV. I love entertainment. I love laughing. I love being the class clown, but I love sports. That's my first love, man, before anything. When I couldn't do anything else right, I could get on the street corner with somebody or at the hot dog stand and give me all you got because you're going down. Because when you're debating, it's about not only making points, but you want to win that debate. I know people now just say Sox. Nowadays, it's just like generic. You know, people go, hey, this guy's going to be good. Why? Because I say he's going to be good. That's why. You know, we used to have reasons behind why you think this guy's going to be good, why this guy's going to be bad. But to make a long story short, Danny Lee gave me the compliment of my life when we interviewed him for about 3 hours. And he said, the thing I never had to worry about you. He never told me that. You didn't have an off season. No matter what month you were on. It didn't matter what the sport was. And I took that. One of the last things he ever said to me, because he's gone now, the man who made my life. But I took that to heart. I really did.
I appreciate that story, Mike. That's something that made me attracted to you as a fan. It reminds me of myself. I love sports to that degree, and I'm doing every sport I possibly can. You know, there's no end. I love it all. I love competition. And to me, debating about sports, it kind of feeds into the competition that just flows through my veins. So I like hearing about it.
I never got in an argument to lose.
Yeah.
Or a debate. Never.
Absolutely
I've never been in one. And luckily, I've been right since I've been on the radio. I mean, we could talk about even now, you know, classes out on certain things. But when we talk about whatever sport, you know, you could talk to Eldo, who's I love, because I saw this barroom nonsense. I don't know how many years I've been with barroom now. Out of all the stuff that was on Twitter, I said, damn, I like this barroom guy. And Eldo looked like a hitman from Ecuador. He had the sunglasses, you know, I go, who is this guy? I go, I like this guy, you know. At the time, he had that on his profile. He looked very menacing, but he's the nicest guy in the world. But when you look at, you better have reasoning behind things. I don't see reasoning behind people liking this guy, that guy, this team, that team. Oh, don't worry. Our next third baseman's going to be great. A lot of hope comes into a lot of the debate now. And I don't go on hope. I try to jump out just like I did with the White Sox. And I'm going to frequent Eldo because he's been on every show with me together since we've been doing this. I never was a Grandel guy. I've never been a Grandel guy. Now, McCann's hurt. He's off the shelf with the Mets. But I just thought, not because of Grandel, that $70 million was unnecessary at the time. I said, you got enough good bats in the lineup. Let's get a guy who knows how to catch. Then I hear he's a good framer, all this crap. All I know is Reese McGuire can't hit, and he's catching a lot. Because the pitchers liked McCann, and they like McGuire because of less problems as far as defensively. So now you got a team, and I heard today, because Aldo always says, do you ever prepare? Do you ever prepare? I go, yes, I prepare. I was watching the game earlier, and Gordon Beckham said something that was very good. He said the Sox are built for the big shots. And if there's no big shots, guys, we're going through what we're going through right now. Period. End of story. I see Eloy. I mean, who had Eloy? What, one homer? I mean, we have injuries, but the other guys aren't hitting the ball. So I found that amazing because now that the game, and don't tell me Rick Hahn's late again. Now the game's switching where I saw the Red Sox about a week ago bunt with men on first and second, nobody out and moved the runners. Now everybody's starting to play small ball. And we got nothing but lumberjacks, Vinny. Lumberjacks in that lineup for the most part. So we'll see what happens. Luckily, we're in an easy division. Because if we were in the other two divisions, we'd be 5-6 games out already.
Yeah, and they have a chance to come back in the AL Central. It wouldn't shock me at all if they do, because I don't trust the Twins. Their pitchers are going down. The Tigers are dead already as far as I'm concerned, and they were supposed to be that surprise team. I wrote for Fansided.com that the Tigers were actually the team. I was wrong about that. I'll fully put my hand up on that. But the White Sox, like you said, do you think there's merit to – there are people out there that believe the baseballs were juiced, and now they're not anymore, and teams are starting to adjust. You brought up the Red Sox starting to play small ball. Is it time for the White Sox to start doing that until it's clear that the baseballs are different again? What's your take on that?
I think they're always going to stay this way for the year. I don't think they're going back to the way they were. There were high scores the other night, and then yesterday the scores were a little bit lower again. But the other night there was some big-time scores, a lot of double-digit scores. But I'm seeing now you don't hear about launch level as much. You still hear about the nonsense with exit velocity. I think hitters are trying to figure out now, guess what? A 210 average doesn't look attractive when the ball's not going out of the park. I think that baseball got out of hand. The balls were too lively. And ordinary hitters were putting up extraordinary numbers. And baseball wasn't designed for that. Now we're back. I mean, now we're seeing 2-0 games, 3, and then you see who's shining above them all. You know what I mean? But the White Sox, I mean, they should still be hitting better than they're hitting. I don't blame short spring training. I know they're checking the mitts. For the pitchers, I don't know how hard they're checking. Pitchers are ahead of the hitters right now. But it's good to see 4-2 ball games, 5-4, 3-0. I don't have a problem with that. I really don't, but that's bad for the White Sox because they're built from Moncada to Eloy to Sheets. They're built to Robert. Bang, they're built for that. And right now you need grounders up the middle, hits to the other side. And it's only going to get worse when they go back to playing, I think it might get better for the hitters when they go back and take away the shift, which I've wanted gone. But when they take away the shift, it might get better. But right now, if you're asking me, do I think the White Sox have any hope of winning anything this year? They might win the division, but I have no hope for them to go far. I really don't if they do.
Yeah, I don't really either. And part of the reason I don't, I was going to ask this a little later, but I think it's the perfect time to ask it now. Have you caught any New York Yankees baseball? I know they just came through town and kind of dismantled the White Sox a little bit. You've seen a lot of Yankee teams in your life. They've been good. They had that one little lull, but they never went under 500 during that little lull when they traded Chapman and Andrew Miller and Dellin Betances and all those guys. This is one of the best Yankee teams I've ever seen, at least through May. I know it's May. Everybody says, oh, Vinny, it's May. Oh, Mike, it's May. What are we getting all? Well, we have 40 games under our belt now. That's what, a quarter of the season? I mean, we're starting to see what's going on here. Is this the best Yankee team ever? How bad are the White Sox in trouble? And the Cubs play them this year, too.
Well, I want you to know, and I know I look good, but goddamn, that Mike looks young. He really does. But I remember the 60s teams. I collected baseball cards when Mickey Mantle was a kid. So those teams were legendary. But they had good pitching, not outstanding, just like this Yankee team. I'm okay with their pitchers, but they pick up the baseball, this team. Their pitching has been good. They're stealing bases. They made beating the White Sox and winning that series easy. Stanton is healthy. He hardly hits the ball, and the ball flies out of the ballpark. So that's who I measure the White Sox against, one of the teams. Now, as far as other teams, you brought up Detroit, and I would say this to anybody. If you know anything about baseball, well, if you don't, you're getting an education today. because the manager of the Chicago White Sox is taking some heat for some reason because of lack of performance by major league players. Now, you could pick on a lineup or two. You could say, I mean, I heard somebody say Gavin Sheets should have batted yesterday. If that's where we're at right now, Gavin Sheets should have batted later on in the game. They were in big trouble anyway, okay? But I want to remember the White Sox fans who might be on par right now at a low rating with their fans, okay? I like to put you all in one room here and then see who, have a spelling bee and everybody gets beat on the first round. You know what I mean? Because that's where I think we're at right now. Does anybody realize, and I bet the under Tigers, and I'm going to win that 78.5, that 75% of you geniuses out there wanted A.J. Hinch as the manager of the White Sox over Tony La Russa? Please tell me that's not true. But it is. I saw it with my own eyes. There's no comparison. And you wanted a guy who's dishonest as far as fixing baseball games. So the White Sox fan base, to me, I look at it on TV and I go, the dregs. The dregs, not all. But you want A.J. Hinch. I'm watching him. They're more boring than the White Sox are. And the White Sox are boring. But at least Tony puts the runners in motion. At least he tries to do some things with the lineup. I mean, everybody's going, how come this guy's batting here? How come this? Has anybody looked at the batting averages? There's two guys hitting worth a damn. Okay? Tim Anderson, who I watched just now, boot a backhand, and they gave the guy from Kansas City a hit. Otherwise, he'd have another error. I got to say this. Tim Anderson can shoot his mouth off all he wants. He can give the fans the finger all he wants. He's not that popular with me. Here's what I'll tell Tim Anderson. Louis Aparicio never said shit. He just played shortstop at a high level. I don't even know what his voice sounded like. He would be on the leadoff man every so often. He didn't give the fans the finger. So just play your game, concentrate, quit trying to be the rebel. I know what that's like. But my God, learn to pick up the baseball. People aren't criticizing you. You get a pretty good ride in here because you're a hell of a hitter. Great hitter.
Well, I was just going to ask you. You obviously respect him as a hitter.
Oh, yeah.
He's outstanding.
And if your shortstop can't field, you're dead. You're dead. If you're shortstop of all the fielders in baseball, over center field, if you got a shortstop who's involved in so many plays, from cutoffs to double plays to being the captain of the infield, if you got a shortstop that can't field, you're not winning. You're not winning for the most part.
He cleaned up his game last year, though, defensively. I think there's no doubt about that. Tim Anderson, at the shortstop position last year, he made his plays. I think he already has more errors right now than he did all of last year. So does Mike North have hope that he could get back to that? I mean, you don't forget how to play the game.
Well, nobody forgets how to play the game that's in the major league level, but he should not have 10 errors.
No.
I mean, you know what? We go backwards on this, Vinny. I know you're justifying because he had one good year. Don't forget the years he had before that.
Yeah.
So was last year like one of those once-in-a-lifetime years?
An anomaly?
You hope not. He's got to pick up the baseball. I remember the Cubs had Sean Dunston. Loved the guy. But I always thought him playing short, and I don't put Timmy in his class. I always thought him playing shortstop put too much heat on him. I thought he was like Timmy, more of a hitter. I said he should play the outfield. Well, he got mad at me. I go, you got to play center. I go, why can Robin Yount go from shortstop to center and you can't? That's the mystery of my lifetime. I tell him. That's all I used to interview him. Tell me that. How come this guy can go there but you can't? Well, years later, I'm interviewing him and he's on the Giants. And he's in Chicago. And he goes, Mike, I got to tell you, you remember that interview we did when I was with the Cubs? I go, yeah. I should have listened to you. That was a guy that understood what I was trying to tell him. You'd be better in center. Your arm is a rocket. You'd chase down balls to the alley. And when he said that to me, I go, here's a stand-up guy. Because a lot of times you tell athletes they should do something. They don't listen. And they won't, say you were right. Not that you need that, but he volunteered it. So, that was gratifying. But that's what we need Tim Anderson to do. Pick up the baseball and then hit 300.
Can the Cubs win with David Ross?
Boy, I like they're playing sounder baseball, but they're playing unsounder teams. They're playing Pittsburgh now, Arizona. But hey, they played the Dodgers. They got, I think they played San Diego good on the road.
Sure did.
I was critical of Ross when I think about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, Gomes was up. Bags loaded. We need a run. 7th inning. 2 out. 2-0. You put the take sign on. You're Yan Gomes. You're hitting 212.
Yeah.
He swings, pops up to second. I'm like this. I go like this. I go, that's on Ross. That's on the bench coaches. You can't let a 212 hitter decide that he's going to swing the baseball bat there. You can't. You got to be so. But since that time, I'm pretty good with what he's been doing. I'm watching both teams. La Russa's superficial bullshit, He's not batting the guy here. Adam, the guy, Andrew Vaughn should be batting higher and, all this crap. Just wherever you bat, you only bat it once. I led off when I played, okay? Which meant other innings, with bags loaded, I'm coming up with 2 outs. Well, I'd rather have other guys, okay, than me. I was a punch and Judy hitter. And sometimes it'd work out, but most of the time it wouldn't if that happened. I'm just being honest. You bat in different orders. Everybody makes a big deal. I know that you want guys to bat more often, but how many White Sox do you want to see bat more often besides Tim and Robert, who's hitting about 280?
I think a lot of people think Vaughn is in that category, at least from the way he started the season, but he doesn't play every day.
Yeah.
That's a little mystifying to me.
Yeah. I'm not sure if he's got a home. Here's when I talk about that, a position. I like him. I watch Jake Berger. I like Jake Berger, but I watch him and I'm going, whatever happens, he's going to be a detriment with the glove. Not that he don't want to play, man. I like him. I respect the guy that goes to third base.
Yep.
Or second base. Vaughn was not supposed to be this good in the field, then he wasn't. So I respect these guys, but you know what I'm almost liking La Russa to do? Find a lineup. Stick with that same lineup.
That's where I'm
for
at.
the next month.
Yep.
For the next month. Don't move one guy. I don't care if it's lefty, righty, righty, lefty. Give these guys where they don't have to look over their shoulder to see, and then their heart sinks if they're not in the lineup. Or some of their heart sinks because they're egotistical enough to think they should be batting higher. I'd like La Russa to say, I'm going with these 8 for the next month. Other people are going to get an opportunity if there's an injury or what have you. But if you want more opportunity, you better outplay these guys. Then you got a competition within the club, okay? And then I think you might see some. I think Tony, if I had a criticism of him, you brought it up a little bit, is there is a little bit too much moving around in the lineup. And I think, if you don't have a set lineup, you don't have a set team, in my opinion, for the most part.
That's exactly where I'm at. That's my biggest criticism of Tony is the lineups. Vaughn's batting 7th today. He was batting 9th yesterday. Leury Garcia and Adam Engel are hitting ahead of him. I'd rather see Vaughn come up 7th if Abreu or Grandal draw a walk or get a base hit. You look at the New York Yankees, 1 through 5, every single day, except for maybe that one day where someone gets a rest. Every single day, LeMahieu, Rizzo, Judge, Stanton, Donaldson, 1 through 5 every day, no matter what. I'd like to see that for the White Sox every single day. I understand the Sunday lineup stuff. What's that?
I wouldn't play Sunday lineup. Screw you too. You're not playing unless you're in my set lineup for a month. That's it.
Fair.
I don't care. If Robert bats third like he is today, if I want him at third, he's batting third the whole month. If you want Sheets, the day I write in Sheets' name that he's good enough to bat, to play in the lineup that I'm going to stick with, keep him where he's at, wherever you bat him. I'd probably put Vaughn 6th, maybe 7th. Okay. I wouldn't move him past that.
Same.
But La Russa used to bat the pitcher 8th. So, when he was in the National League. So I was going to ask you about the Toronto Maple Leaf thing, that you have on there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're mad at yourself or something. I mean, it's been a rough go for those young men. You know that.
Yeah.
Are you a Toronto fan?
No,
I mean, 2004 is a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time. I'm a New Jersey Devils fan. I do all Chicago sports except hockey. I mean, I like the Blackhawks, but when I was growing up, they weren't on TV, so I followed the teams that were better. I was a bandwagoner back then, and it stuck with me as I was an adult. I'm paying for it now because they've sucked for the last decade. They haven't won a playoff series since 2012 either. But the Toronto Maple Leafs, we have our hockey show on Wednesday. My brother is my co-host, and my cousin Frank.
Yeah.
And I kind of took the Leafs, and they were ripping on me. And I'm like, this is the year. They're just kind of like, I kind of started riding with them, if you know what I mean. Like,
Never
you pick a
is.
team from out of town. They have the best goal scorer I've ever seen. I mean,
absolutely.
You saw Wayne Gretzky. He was near the end of his playing time by the time I came around. But Alexander Ovechkin's going to break he's going to break Gretzky's record in a couple years, I believe. Right. I think Austin Matthews is capable of breaking Ovechkin's eventual record. But the Leafs, they just seem cursed. I don't know if you buy into this, like other beings impacting sports. You saw it with the Cubs for 108 years until they finally did it. The Leafs, man, they're
the one team in
well.
sports. I picked against them. I knew they were going to lose Game 7. They're the team in sports where the players actually feel the weight of failures of seasons past.
That's fair.
I don't think the Cubs ever felt that. I just don't think the Cubs from 69. In other words, the Cubs from 84 didn't really blow it because of what happened in 69. It didn't really creep into their heads. They read about how long it had been and stuff like that. But they didn't perform when they had to. The same with the 90 Cubs, the 93 Cubs, stuff like that. Toronto actually skates out there. And when they're skating out there, they have the Maple Leafs players from the past with them. Normie Ullman from the 60s skating out with them. Come on out here. Davey Keon, they're skating against the 60s Maple Leafs, who were always stepchildren to the Montreal Canadiens back in the heyday. Okay. Tim Horton waves to him, the ghost of Tim Horton. We're never winning anything. And they skate out there and they perform in the playoffs like they've never played.
That's true. And
that about sums it up, right? I absolutely left you speechless there. That was that good. Is Aldo there right now? Is Aldo with you or did he leave?
I think he left. Or he's there. He's there.
See? I love when Aldo's there because I know he was laughing during that one. Believe me.
He's so angry. Aldo knows he's got clips probably ready to cut up of me talking about the
Hey, Aldo.
Yes, sir.
The ghost of Pete Mahovlich comes out when they're trying to win a playoff game. All these they're away from the stands, the old Maple Leafs. They punch Imlach from the Maple Leafs in the 60s, the coach like this. Just falling on their faces.
Yeah,
and then I gotta look at that. You think
these are hockey names that Vinny has never heard of before.
Outside of Tim Hortons, because I've been to the coffee shop. Got some hockey cards and some maple syrup donuts with bacon bits on top.
It's funny that you guys are talking about this because look at my hat.
The Frankie Mueller inspired hat.
Well, that was the greatest league ever put together.
Yeah, 6 teams. That was it.
That is the greatest league ever put together. 6 teams, leave it alone. Everybody hates each other. Everybody knows how to play each other. You play 12 times a year. Yep. It's a bloodbath. I mean, it was the greatest. And then they go, what's that about 15 teams? And I went, no. And I don't think hockey's ever recovered.
Yeah, it's been
I saw a 9-6 game last night, guys. 9-6. In a playoff game, Calgary. Come on, man.
That's not going to happen again, but they're going to get feisty now because of the way the game ended with the brawls. But that Maple Leaf team, Mike, they played as well as I've ever seen them play. That might be the best Leafs team of your lifetime. I mean, I know they won the cup in 67.
My lifetime?
Yeah. They won the cup in 67.
I think they won in 67, and I was in 8th grade. I have a long lifetime. So far. But that kind of comment makes my heart paints my heart. In my lifetime, I've seen so much crap that you haven't even seen yet, Vinny. In your lifetime, though, the Toronto Blue Jays have been told they were going to win almost every single freaking year, okay? So you're wearing your thing with pride. I understand that, but seriously, they might have to do something. They might have to figure out something else.
They got changes coming. They're not going to fire Dubas or their GM or the coach, Sheldon Keefe, but the Lightning, they have Hall of Famers at every position. And it's just, you play that good against them and you still lose. Florida Panthers have their work cut out for them. You got any hockey experiences with the Blackhawks? What's Mike North's hockey stories? Give me a good hockey story.
Well, I'm the guy that gave Bill Wirtz the name Potter. I'm watching It's a Wonderful Life one night with Baby. Well, everything's with Baby now. Watching it. 90s. Blackhawks are just not on TV. And I see the great Lionel Barrymore. That's Mr. Potter. George, you can come work for me. Now we can take over this, and then we can take over that, and then we can run everything. What do you think, George? Well, Mr. Potter, what? And then he caught himself, and I go, there it is. Oh, my God. Well, I'm working for me. Have yourself a cigar. One of the great scenes of all time, one of the great actors, both actors of all time. And I said to B, Potter. That's who Bill Wirtz is, Mr. Potter. And that next day on the score, I came on, I said, Mr. Potter. Bill Wirtz is Potter. And that name stuck with him until I think he wanted to crucify me if he could get his hands on me. And I wrecked hell on them. I did. From the fact they had no crowds to the fact they weren't on TV to the fact you couldn't recognize most of the Blackhawks if they walked down the street. I just crucified Bill Wirtz, and he deserved it. Him and his band of cutthroats, as I used to call them, guys like that. And we only met once. We were at opposite ends of a hallway at the old stadium. He stared at me, and I stared at him. He shook his head at me and walked away. And I walked away. I went, thank God he walked away. Bill Wirtz was a big man, an ex-Marine. I respected the guy, but he didn't know how to run hockey. And I'll say this about Rocky. They won, but their organization is so stained right now that for a lot of different reasons, including, the Taves stuff that we didn't see him for 2 years. What happened to him? Nobody wants to say what happened to this guy, what happened to that guy. McDonough, the downfall of McDonough, just a tragedy. After such a wonderful beginning with the new ownership. So we'll see what happens, but I don't think people look at the Blackhawks right now the same way. I really don't.
No, and it's going to be a long time before they do. I mean, they're trying. They got these new initiatives that are trying to get themselves in the good graces with the fans, which I understand. You got a business to run. You got to try and rebuild your trust. It's not like an Original Six franchise is relocating anytime soon, but they got to start winning. If winning doesn't cure all, but it cures a lot.
The new GM, he looks like he's like 18.
Yeah,
right.
He does. Kyle Davis.
If I'm walking outside the stadium, I'm tossing him my key, going like, it's the Cadillac. I think he's the valet. I just saw the guy. He looks like he's 20 years old.
Yeah.
Okay. You still need some experience. I'm sure he'll surround himself with people, but they're trying to. I heard he was an intern at one point.
Yeah.
So
he replaced Stan when they fired him because of the Kyle Beach, Bradley Aldridge situation, which was just
wasn't
amazing.
He there? But wasn't he there?
Who?
There's still a lot of Blackhawk people around that were there in 2010.
They canned most of them. It's basically just Taves and Kane now.
Now, I'm not just talking about players. A lot of people around.
That's awesome. Sure.
Even the hot dog vendors.
The hot dog vendors. Davidson was there. They fired Bowman, obviously. McDonough's gone. Quenneville got the can in Florida. Chevalier.
Quenneville. How about my guy, Joe? I love Joe Quenneville, but my God, this whole thing, what a tragedy.
Yeah, and
what a tragedy.
He's got a long way to go before he gets back. I mean, he's got
I don't know if any of them come back.
Me either.
I don't. First of all, the Blackhawks didn't. Have the Blackhawks paid any kind of price? I don't think so. They're going to handle it internally. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, they handled it internally. No draft picks, nothing like that, which that's not going to undo the situation. Taking a second-round pick from them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see. I have no hope for their future right now. They got a long way to go. And Davidson, you brought up that he was like 20, needs experience. He already made a major mistake. Did you catch this? Speaking of the Maple Leafs, the Marc-Andre Fleury, they were going to trade him to the Leafs, but Maple Leafs GM Kyle Dubas wanted it to be on the down low, as a lot of GMs do, and it leaked. And after the trade deadline, he goes, "Why don't you go talk to Chicago's GM about that?" Already throwing him under the bus. So who's going to want to trade with him now for at least a year?
Hey, man, I'm just telling you, it doesn't look good for the Blackhawks. Let's get back. Let's get to some more unpleasant subjects, like the Bears, maybe.
Like Mitchell
my guy.
Trubisky. Your guy. Well, you didn't think I was going to have you on and not talk
22 blue, 15, 22 blue, 52 blue. Hut.
I'm not having Mike North on my show without bringing up Mitchell Trubisky at least once. Are you a de facto Steelers fan?
I cannot believe I haven't been invited to the baptism. Number one, I'm not happy.
You didn't name him Mike. Didn't name the kid Mike.
No. I wanted them to name him something that is appropriate. I do love the family. Good. The baby's cute as hell, and he's going to start, and he's going to get an opportunity with the fifth toughest, it's the second toughest schedule in football. I looked at the Pittsburgh Steelers schedule. I went like this. I go, man, if Mitch wins 8 games, he deserves comeback player of the year if he can win 8 games with that thing. But I'm not crying about the schedule. Try to win 10 games, get in the playoffs, then you don't have to worry about next year. As far as the Bears are concerned, I looked at the Bears schedule, and we know about when you trade up in the draft or I don't care who's on your team. If Justin Fields can't win 6 to 7 games with that schedule, which is the 4th easiest schedule in the league. I looked at it, Vinny. Now, I know we got guys that couldn't have played at Ohio State when he played there. Okay? But I know I'm looking at it as an easy schedule. Well, so are the Bear opponents looking at the Bears as an easy schedule. But I thought I saw the Falcons on there. I thought I saw the Jets on there.
Yep.
I thought I saw the Lions twice on there.
Yep.
I thought I saw the Giants on there, and I'm going, wait a minute. Am I a Justin Fields guy? Do I think that maybe, regardless of what happened with my guy Mitch, that if he's worth all that to move up, regardless of the narrative we're hearing, he doesn't have a lot around him now. Yeah, okay. Mitch had Taylor Gabriel his first year. Welcome to the dance. He had Trey Burton. Hello, I'm not playing the playoff game. That garbage. I might take both overs. I might take the over 7.5 Pittsburgh and the over 6.5 Bears.
Wow.
I think the worst that can happen is 1-1. Maybe Field surprises. I don't know. Maybe the schedule does look that easy. Some of the teams they're playing suck. Atlanta sucks. The Jets suck. The Bears got enough on defense to make these games competitive. Now, can Fields hold on to the football? Because he fumbled a lot last year. Can he hold on to the ball? Don't self-inflict wounds. Keep it simple. The odds are stacked against the Bears, and I think the odds might be stacked against Mitch and the Steelers, because it's hard for me to fathom that they've never had a losing season under Tomlin, yet it's only 7.5. So I think they're going off the reputation of what's happened with Big Ben. He's gone, and Mitch Trubisky is the new guy, and he's got not the most sparkling reputation. If you're going to go by wins in regular season, he won 60% of his games, you got a chance. But it's going to be an interesting season. The debate going on, it's never going away. Between the way that you make this debate go away, Vinny, one of these two guys stands on his head and just puts on a show of shows to shut the other guy up.
How will you react if they go 5 and what would it be? 5 and 12? I'm not good at math. The 17 now.
The Bears and the Steelers.
5 and 12. Let's pretend they go 5 and 12, but Fields, he averages 300 yards a game, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception per game. You know, a pretty good season for Justin Fields, looked promising, but the Bears suck, and it's clearly because of their roster. How would you react to that?
Well, if he's throwing 3 touchdowns and 1 interception for 300 yards, they're going 12-5. I'm telling you, because they're going to be running the football too. If you're going to put those, and I'll be the first to say, son of a bitch, you son of a gun, you. Look what you did. You finally got me. Nobody else could. Cutler couldn't get me. I told him, no, Cutler, no. 57-57. Or the other guy, Foles. No, yes, no, please, no. Foles. All these guys, Dalton. No, I didn't want Dalton. Yeah, you did want Dalton. No. So if Fields does that, you son of a gun, you, good for you. And I'm a Bear fan, and I'll be the first to admit when I'm wrong. I'll say it. Well, I don't have to say I'll be wrong. I'll be told I was wrong. Just like I have to go generic because so many Bear fans have been wrong about the quarterback situation since Cutler. It's pathetically sad. But I'll give him now. Let me ask you the question: if the Steelers go 8-9, you get the over with the 7.5, but they fall short. They miss by a game, and Trubisky has good stats. I'm still not going to be satisfied. I'll use his stats as collateral on the argument, but I think I think one of these players. Either Trubisky makes the playoffs and then all fans will shut up, or Fields makes the playoffs, or they both do. I was at the Buffalo Bear preseason game at Bourbon Street with all the ESPN guys, Carm, Sylvie, all the guys, Vinny. They were all in shock the way Trubisky just ate them alive. And it was sort of like a precursor. I said, it's only a preseason game, but it wasn't that way for the Bills, who knew Mitch was on a mission. And Nagy didn't have his team ready. And they were embarrassed. But you could have heard a pin drop except for me, because I bet the game. And the Bills were getting points. So we'll see what happens. But if let's say the Bears are 2-2 and Pittsburgh's 2-2 after 4 games, it's going to be all good.
I want the Bears to succeed. I'm with you on everything you said. At the end of the day, you don't want to be right or wrong. I want the Bears to be good for me. But I will say this. I was listening to the Mike North Advantage. It might have been a month or 2 ago. It was one of your surprise episodes when he signed with Pittsburgh. He's 29-21 in his NFL career. I think there is a 0% chance that Justin Fields starts his career through what's 29 plus 21. Like I said, so bad at math. That's
60%. I'll tell you this right now. It's 58. I'll give you this, Vinny.
No shot. He has that kind of record.
The stats. People think it was just the defense in 2018. Look at Mitch Trubisky's statistics.
He made the Pro Bowl.
He had 24 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. If Fields has that year, they'll have a parade. They'll have a statue built, and he won't be a bust. But he's not going to have that. He's not going to have that. And I think this is a coming out party for Mitch. He's 80-1. Even I'll talk y'all into this. I'll talk you into this. He's 80-1 to be Super Bowl MVP. Let's put a buck down each. Come on. Then we'll go to Buffalo Wild Wings and have a spread.
I'm in.
But it's going to be fun.
I'm in. I like Pittsburgh's team. I think they have a really good defense. And Big Ben, here's what I'll say. Mitch, whatever he is an upgrade over 1,000-year-old Big Ben. And I like the running back.
I was disheartened to see that Big Ben averaged 6.2 yards a pass. I went like this. I go, wow, the guy made the playoffs. Yeah, that's a winner.
That's true.
Tomlin made the playoffs, 6.2. I look at Justin Fields, 6.9. 6.9. But then I looked at Mitch, the same type of thing. The play calling has been atrocious.
Yep.
It's been atrocious. Mitch overcame it. Can Justin? We'll see what happens.
I sure hope so. I really, really want this team to do good. I
came out. I want the Bears to win, just like I wanted the Sox to win. You know, this nonsense. Oh, let's trade Moncada for Chris Sale. They won the World Series because of Chris Sale. One of the reasons, Boston.
Yeah, 100%.
Moncada, I said he better hit 300. He better become a Gold Glover to trade Chris Sale. And guess what? He's not.
Yeah,
He's not. He can't stay on the field. He's a 230 hitter. But I would ask you this: Chris Sale's going to come off the disabled list, right? Yeah, right.
Yeah,
you're
100%.
a big White Sox fan, huh?
Yeah, he'll be off probably mid-June.
Right. Would you trade Sale? Would you trade Moncada back for Sale right now if you were the White Sox?
I don't have to throw in Kopech?
Nope.
The only reason I'm going to say no.
Oh.
I don't like what I saw from Sale last year, Mike. He was brutal.
I understand, but he went through surgery. I get you.
He did go through surgery, but he's not healthy now.
Moncada's hasn't been healthy this year. For Christ's sake, the guy, I think he hurt himself dancing. He had the video. I dance along with it.
I love the song. I listen to it all
I love
the
the
time.
video. Got 8 girls waiting down there waving to him. Come on, in your dreams. I don't care who you are. Magic didn't have 8 waving, maybe 6. But it's a great video. Don't get me wrong. I think he pulled a muscle.
Maybe. They got Kopech.
Huh?
They got Kopech out of it, and they have a 1 through 4 in the rotation that I like. Pitching hasn't been the problem; it's been offense. So the Moncada argument, I just don't know what Sale would do for them.
Okay, what's Moncada going to do for you? He's going to hit. I hope he hits 280. I like the kid, but I mean, he's got to stay healthy, and so does Eloy. I mean, these guys are getting hurt young, and that's not a good sign. And especially Eloy. He's played 110 games in 3 years. You know,
and he's got 60 home runs in those games.
Right.
He's an unreal hitter.
He's great. Okay. That's fine. You play 1 out of 10 games and let's go. You got to play more. That's all. That's why they want him on the field more, because of those stats that you just gave me. It doesn't do us any good if he's on the bench. So we'll see what happens. Bet 100 for Justin Fields to VMVP, and you could win 8,000. That's another one. That's not bad.
Parlay that with Trubisky winning Super Bowl MVP.
Or maybe 100 for Trubisky to win MVP and go yippee. Listen, let me tell you. Here's my dream. You want my dream? You ready?
Yep.
Mitch beats Mahomes in the playoffs. X that ass off. Get out of here. And then we play the Bears with Fields. The Bears against the Steelers with Mitch and Fields. There's no argument. Everybody did well. I know I couldn't lose. I think, I'll be honest, I'd be happy for Mitch if Pittsburgh won, but I'd be pissed if the Bears lost. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But that's the dream scenario. So long to Patrick Mahomes, the guy that everybody wanted, even though it was Deshaun Watson that everybody wanted.
Yeah,
they didn't want Patrick Mahomes.
Clemson beats Alabama twice.
Yeah. And the Bears said hi to him from Zoom like this.
Yeah.
And said, get away. But he's got bigger problems right now. But Mahomes we beat, and then Mitch versus Fields. That would be the biggest watch. I know in Chicago. That would be over 85, man. That would be over 85. 2006 was a snore fest.
Yeah, it was. It was all. It was
we
all.
We got to the Super Bowl with Rex Grossman. Come on now.
It was Devin Hester returning kicks and Cedric Benson and Thomas Jones running the ball all over everyone's throat. But
you almost have, Vinny, you almost have a full beard right now since we started.
Oh, I know. It grew in since we started. I had just shaved right before now. It's all the It's all
I love you. Your brother hasn't been seen for days. Is everything good? Did he pay the guy? What's going on?
You know what? I'm not too sure. I'm gonna have to give him a call after this show's over and make sure that he's not caught in the gangway. Really quick before I let you go, I want to ask you opinion one more thing on the NFL.
Anything.
The Chiefs have a really hard schedule, 1 through 9. It's like one of the hardest schedules in the NFL. It's a first place.
They got 8 teams in a row that have winning records.
Exactly, and it's going to be tough. They got Mahomes making all this money now. The roster's taking a hit because of it. The defense is probably going to be a little worse. I still think Mahomes is going to. Yeah, exactly. Would it shock you if?
Look, I saw that. I see the Dodgers get Freddie Freeman. I don't care if I own the Atlanta Braves. You're not leaving. You're not leaving.
Yeah.
You got to stay here. You're the franchise, right?
Offer him whatever.
That these teams let people walk away, okay, and expect them to be like they were. You lost Freddie Freeman. You can't lose quality players. That's how the 85 Bears got ruined. They lost quality players. Wilbur Marshall. We would have repeated. We would have been in more playoffs. Willie Gault. Got rid of him. Wilbur Marshall. Got rid of him. We got rid of Hilgenberg. We got rid of everybody. You got to keep these players in the town that you play in. I think it's sad that Freddie Freeman signed with the Dodgers.
It is. They got a nice consolation prize with Olsen. He's a really good hitter.
He's struggling.
He is struggling out of the game. So are the Braves, though. And this was the theme of the Braves last year.
But why are they struggling? Freddie Freeman's not. If Freddie Freeman's on Atlanta, maybe they're not struggling as much.
Yeah.
It's just tough. It's tough to follow a guy like Freddie Freeman.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
No
it
matter
really
how
is.
good you are. But do you think the Steelers could have better record than the Chiefs? I do. That schedule.
Yeah, my point was Tyreek Hill. You can't let Tyreek Hill walk.
No.
You got to figure out a way to keep him.
Yep.
He saved Mahomes' ass numerous times.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the Chiefs. Mahomes keeps plays alive, but he has not. He's digressed the last. I mean, if he can digress, I'd take him in a heartbeat. They're a playoff caliber team with him at quarterback. I think that when you got a quarterback, you got a shot at making the playoffs. If you don't, you don't have a shot.
I agree with you. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. I'm really intrigued. The AFC is as intriguing as it's ever been. I think the NFC is going to have the usual suspects at top: Green Bay, Los Angeles, Tampa, San Francisco, I guess. The AFC is much more intriguing.
If they start Trey Lance, it's almost like, are you out of your mind? You got Jimmy G. I'm sorry, his thumb's going to heal. You cannot start a second-year guy who hardly played.
Wait, you agree with me on that? Your team Jimmy G on that?
Oh, big time. I almost compared
so
to
much
Trubisky.
For that.
I almost compared to Trubisky. Lance could sit another year. They got to the Final Four last year.
I think it's worse than Trubisky. Jimmy G's been in the AFC or the NFC title game 2 of the last 3 years. Both years he was healthy.
Right. So either way you want to cut it, the quarterback that takes over for Jimmy G still going to have pressure on him in the regular season, man.
Yep.
You know, I'm out to lunch on Baker Mayfield. I don't know what's going on there.
I'll trade him to
I
someone.
think they overpaid big time for Deshaun Watson. Big time. But that's going to be a mess.
Yep.
That whole situation.
Yep.
Sometimes you're set at quarterback and you think you're not, and you want to move on. I've seen that forever. I saw that with the Ravens when Brian Billick had Trent Dilfer. Hey, they won the Super Bowl. He just managed the ball.
Yeah.
He had a great defense. They won. He says, I'm an offensive guy. I want Elvis Gerbach.
Worst quarterback to ever win the Super Bowl. That's what they said.
Brad Johnson might be up there.
Yeah. Rex Grossman was a fourth quarter choke away from that distinction.
If you're Peyton Manning, that's your big one. Come on.
Yeah. And then the other Super Bowl you got is you got lucky that Cam Newton didn't jump on the football in the end.
That's all.
Yeah.
I never, Peyton Manning to me, for all the juice that the media gave him, 5 MVPs, I'm sorry. The resume doesn't impress me. It doesn't. It doesn't impress me. Troy Aikman won more. Come on. So that's just the way it is.
Top 3 regular season quarterback ever. The GOAT is Tom. I'm taking the 7 Super Bowls all day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. I see that. And then he signs a stupid contract. Let me tell you something. I remember when Joe Montana got a big deal to do TV. Okay. He was absolutely deplorable. He was so boring. We didn't give a shit. And the same thing's going to happen with Brady.
You think?
I don't know. I think Brady got signed for corporate events, golf outings, with the big wigs, the advertisers. I'm sorry. Tom Brady's in the booth. So what? I play a set list now. They're so bad. I play music while the games are on now. Everybody thinks all the announcers are great. I think they're just okay.
I hope Tom's good. He's one of those guys that's been good at everything his whole life. I want to see him be good in the booth. We'll see. Hopefully you're not playing records. Before we go, I know I said that once before, but I want one more story. What's the best sporting event you've ever been to? You looking back at all the games you've ever been to, what one sticks out the most that just made you feel the most joy? Whether it be your favorite team winning or there being
I would say the Bull. I would say one of the Bulls game ones, but they had so many.
Yeah.
I would say the White Sox World Series win because I didn't go to the Super Bowl. Okay. But the one I went to, the one I watched, you'll never see like the White Sox actually had 4 complete games.
Yeah.
In the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
You'll never see that again. Podsednik's home run, the game 5 homer. It's raining. Eldo lights a fire when I start telling stories. I know he does. Game 5. Game 5. The rain's pelting us. I'm with BB and my buddy Phil Dunn. I'm going, let's get out of here. And BB says, are you out of your mind? I go, you're a Cup fan. What do you care? She goes, I may never see one of these. This is a World Series game. We're not leaving. I go, okay. She shut me down. That's it. The rain's pelting away. Here comes Podsednik. I still don't believe the ball went out. I was sitting about 20th row up the right side of home plate. He hits the ball and it started out low. I go, it's going to go off the wall. It's going to go off the wall. And all of a sudden, it just rolls into like the first or second row. I couldn't believe it.
Blue.
Greatest single event. Blue. Oh, yeah. It was just great. It was great. That was awesome. I enjoyed that. I went to all the Peyton games. I went to all the Jordan games. So, I saw a lot of great. We had the greatest superstars. Went to Bobby Hull games, Ernie Banks games. You didn't lose.
That's awesome.
You didn't lose. Bobby Jenks, look at him. Bobby Jenks, who I was in a Boston pub with one night. And, yeah, a lot of off-speed stuff. Got to be careful.
Very good.
We're at a bar, and he ordered like 40 Jägermeisters. The bar. It spilled onto the tray, some of it. He drank it off the tray. Bobby Jenks.
What a guy.
You there?
Yeah, you were lagging for a little minute there. I was hearing a story about Bobby Jenks in Boston. Are you there?
Bobby Jenks, yeah. Bobby Jenks, baby. He was a drinker. Enjoyed Bobby.
I've heard that.
He liked Jägermeister. Yeah, he liked Jägermeister.
That's interesting. Well, Mike, I can't thank you enough for coming on our show. I know we're running this.
Time to go. They cut me off already.
Yeah.
It's not enough.
Yeah, he's like, get this guy. No, I'm kidding. I've enjoyed it a lot. It's been great to sit here and talk sports with you. I saw you go on Redline Radio, and that's when I was like, all right, I got to get Mike on my show now. I want to get Carl on too.
Well, I appreciate that. It's always good to be on with you, Vinny, and Eldo too.
Absolutely.
Take care, buddy.
You too, Mike. It was a pleasure talking to you. And everybody, that's our show, Crosstown Crosstalk. It was a very big pleasure talking to Mike North and talking to him about sports. We got into everything. That was as good as I've ever wanted. So, Mike, thank you very much. Aldo, thank you for presenting me with that opportunity. And it was a great time. So I hope everybody enjoys the rest of the week. You can catch Mike on the Mike North Advantage when he does his show on the Barroom Network. And, of course, I'll be back with everybody and the South Burbs Hitmen on Monday night talking White Sox. Hopefully they're able to pull off this comeback victory over the Kansas City Royals and take this series. As always, thank you for listening.
Thank you.